good?
Yep.
All right. Well, hey everyone, I'm Glenn. I'm a local Canberra church leader, and I'm sitting here with my wife Kylie, who is a clinical psychologist, and we're just starting a little series of podcast episodes that we're going to do about, really getting unstuck really in different areas of our life. And we thought we'd start with lockdown and start talking about that. Sounds fun? So we're now in the second month of lockdown, which is a new experience for Canberrans in particular. What sort of things would be normal for people to be experiencing in this kind of time?
Well, people are experiencing a whole range of things at the moment, whole repertoire of things in response to lockdown. So, a lot of people are experiencing that, frustration around that they can't do the things that they would normally do, like go to the gym and go to the hairdresser.
Go to the cafe.
Yeah, that's right.
Man.
With their friends.
Totally
That's causing a lot of frustration. People haven't seen their loved ones for so long, so they might be feeling isolated and lonely.
Definitely.
There's a lot of extra pressures on people at the moment. So financial pressures, managing the kids, schooling, that can make us anxious. It's hard that we can't plan anything because nothing's certain at the moment. So people might be feeling stressed about that. Or maybe that they were really looking forward to doing something like a special occasion, like a birthday or a holiday or a wedding or something like that. And there's the disappointment that they have to deal with around that. Or even for people, who the rules might be lifted, you might be allowed to go outside, you might be able to do some things, but you just can't muster up the energy to be able to do that. And people are putting a lot of expectations on themselves or feeling that others are putting that same expectation for normal productivity in a time which is not normal at all.
Definitely. In fact, I've come across there's almost like this hustle culture that's for some, like in the business space, that I kind of linger in as well, is how you're maximizing lockdown, almost as though, this traumatic experience is supposed to be a productivity boost or something, which just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, which is, it's all putting more pressure on people. And when you think about it, the emotional load of what we're carrying at the moment is more than usual. We're having to make lots of decisions which are outside the scope of what we'd normally do. So it's an exhausting time. It's a difficult time.
So some people, though, are saying that they're quite enjoying this time.
Yeah.
Maybe the break from people, or the break from routine, or the chance to think a little more, or the chance to slow down a little more, or being released from those obligations. And I guess for them, though, perhaps some of the anxieties about coming back, like when you come out of the cave.
Yeah, well, that's as we're saying, like the response to lockdown is the whole gamut of different things. And if you're finding that you're actually enjoying lockdown and it's taking away a lot of the pressures you're normally experiencing, that's fine too. It's okay to be enjoying it. And as you say, some of those people might be experiencing some anxiety about the return. What's that going to look like? They've just got used to this as being, the new normal, as they say, and things are all about to change again, but there's always uncertainty around that as well. So that's
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, if all these things, as you said, can be quite overwhelming, and particularly all happening at once for us, if people are feeling a bit stuck in their emotional life, or stuck with this season, or, we're hearing a lot about this languishing in lockdown, I can't seem to break out of this kind of days I'm in or whatever, where is the best place for people to start with unpacking some of this stuff?
Well, I think the best place to start for people is just to adopt a posture of self-compassion around this stuff. So go easy on yourself, be gentle. It's really hard right now, so be kind to yourself in the way that you're approaching this. For
sure. And if you are a person who is from, more driven kind of backgrounds, or overachieving kind of backgrounds, how do you know, or even if you're not, how do you know if you're being hard on yourself? What does that look like in practice?
Well, I think some giveaways are that you notice you're using words such as should and must. They're giveaway words, like I should have got more done today.
Yeah.
I must get this done by the end of today. And if you catch yourself using those sort of words, maybe just back up a little bit and say to yourself, I actually did the best I could today. I'm dealing with a lot right now. This can wait.
Sounds like it'd be good to have a few of those little phrases tucked away. Maybe we'll put together a little cheat sheet of
Sure,
phrases
yeah, like
or
just
something.
coping statements. that
Yeah,
you can use.
yeah. No, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, a posture of gentleness. We have got a lot of things that feel kind of out of control right now. So how do you gently manage those kinds of feelings? Like, oh my gosh, there's so much in my life I have no control over right now. Like, how do I manage about those kind of feelings when they wash over me?
Well, I think first of all, it's important that we're honest with ourselves about that. So it's true, a lot of stuff is not ideal right now. A lot of stuff is out of our control. For example, we don't know when the lockdown's going to be finished.
No.
We don't know if we're going to get COVID or not. We don't know when we're going to see our friends again. Thoughts and feelings are things that we actually can't control. You might be feeling really anxious and feeling bad that you feel anxious and trying to control that. You can't necessarily control that. You can't control the alarming thoughts that pop into our mind sometimes. So that's where we need to get some skills around practicing acceptance for the things that we can't control.
Got it. So cultivating, so we've got this gentle posture we've talked about, so we're not kind of getting into this must should sort of mode. And we're cultivating this acceptance of, hey, there are some things that are outside my control. And some of us love to try and control the whole universe. That gives us a great feeling of whatever.
Yeah, we are. I think that's all of us.
So when you talk about accepting those things that are out of our control, that might be a new feeling for some of us, or a new kind of idea for some of us. Maybe you could just unpack that idea a little bit more for us.
Okay. All right. Well, here's a little, a simple tool that you can use when you're feeling any kind of strong emotion, and it's called dropping anchor. So if you think about what the job of an anchor is, what would you say the job of an anchor is?
Well, you put an anchor, like just plants you in the spot. You live in this boat right here. No matter if there's whatever storms happen or whatever, or wind or whatever, it's gonna be here when I come back to it.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So the job of an anchor is not to take away the storm, but it's to keep you steady in the storm. And I actually anchors are all through scripture, and I love anchors.
Oh, for sure. We have this hope as an anchor for our soul, firm and secure. It talks about Hebrews,
So I do find that anchors are a lovely symbol of being steady in a storm, and that sort of thing. There's lots of scriptures are helpful around that. It helps keep me steady in a storm.
Yeah, for sure.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use the acronym ACE, ACE, just to help us remember the steps for dropping
ACE,
anchor. So
okay.
3 steps.
Yep.
ACE. So the A stands for acknowledge.
Right.
So we just acknowledge what's going on. So we name it. I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Okay.
I'm feeling stressed.
Right.
I'm frustrated right now. So just labeling it, putting language to what's going on inside of us and being honest about that and opening up to that experience and letting yourself feel it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So is it helpful to actually say that out loud to yourself? Like, I'm feeling...
Well, you could say it out loud, or otherwise you can just kind of acknowledge it in your head. But it's this really important step that most people skip, which is, deceptively important to be able to just name it and say, this is what's going on for me right now. So, okay.
So that's A?
That's the A.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're going to do the C. The C stands for come back into your body.
Right.
So when there's a storm all around us, our head takes us, some place which is, far away from where we actually are right now, to that land of anxiety or stress or worry, that sort of thing. What we need to do is get some skills around grounding ourselves just back into the here and now. And we do that by coming back into our body. So you can do that, first of all, by maybe taking some breaths.
For sure.
Take some breaths. Just use your senses to orient yourself to the environment around you. So, okay, well, what can I see? I can see, I can see you.
Yeah.
I can see a room. I can see a couple of dogs from where I'm sitting. But your other senses too, like how can I ground myself through the sense of touch? What can I feel? I can feel my own clothes. I can feel whatever it is.
For sure.
The floor underneath my feet.
That I can feel the pressure I'm exerting on this chair, for instance. I can feel like I'm here.
That's right.
One that's been helpful to me is actually this little phrase, I am noticing. So what am I noticing right now? And I can, often it'll be birds because normally I don't hear them at all.
Yeah.
But when I stop and go, what am I noticing right
Yeah.
now? I'm going, oh, there's some birds. There's a magpie warbling outside or whatever, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I guess this is part of, in our faith tradition, this is part of Jesus saying, like, tomorrow's got its own troubles. You need to live in today. That's the place
right.
where you need to live.
Okay,
so this is an exercise to bring us back into today.
Yeah.
To get off that shuttle bus that's taken us somewhere else. But
which doesn't actually exist. It's just a thing that we're creating with our very sophisticated brains that trip us up sometimes.
So that's our C. Is that our C?
That's our C, but not quite done with C.
Okay.
So
tell us more.
Come back into your body. You could do things like, maybe just roll your shoulders around a little bit, straighten your spine up a bit. Maybe just kind of stretch it out, that sort of things. And then you can always go back to your breath. The breath itself is a good anchor.
Yeah.
Used to come back into your body.
I love breath because the Hebrew for breath is ruach, and it means breath, but it's also used for spirit. So breath for me is like really connects us, like this is God is present here, and I'm breathing and I'm present with him here. Yeah. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, cool.
Okay,
so that's C.
That's our C.
Yeah. Okay. So the E stands for engage. So engage is, that's engaging back with the world and regroup. You've regrouped through your A and your C, and now it's like, what is it that I was doing or that I need to be doing right now? And I could do that anyway.
Got it.
So I don't need to wait for those feelings necessarily to fully go away before I can do that. I've sort of recentered myself. I can engage in the task that I was needing to do. Got it.
So say for instance, I'm working away. I hear the 11:45 update on what's happening in COVID at the moment. The numbers are big. My mind starts to spiral. When is work going to go back? Is work ever going to go back? Is my business going to pull through this? Is my family going to be okay? I start to spiral. And saying, so what I'm doing is I'm sort of catching. Okay, what's happening here? I'm feeling out of control. I'm feeling.
Okay, so you name that.
Yep.
That's your A.
That's my A, and then I go into my C, where I come back
into your body.
Back where I am.
When you're grounding yourself, using your senses by breathing,
wiggling,
maybe wiggle your toes, that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Noticing things around you, so you're back oriented into here and now.
Back into now.
So that's your C.
And then engage. I'm sort of now I can get back into the work.
Yep. Okay, I've regrouped. What was I doing? I'm going to do that.
Yep. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So that's our little ACE model.
Yeah.
Okay,
ACE,
got
dropping
it.
Anchor.
Dropping anchor. Fantastic. So we've talked about a lot of things we can't control. We can't control what's happening with lockdown, or perhaps with our work or other things. But presumably there are some things that we can control.
Oh,
right
for sure,
now.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, you might be surprised that you can control more than it feels like, or more that you think, when you actually do sit down and think about it. And if it still doesn't feel like that, just start really small. So, maybe again, start with your body. Like, you can control your arms and legs. You can control, the movements that you make, that sort of thing.
Yep.
You can control what you have for breakfast.
Yeah.
Whether or not you text that friend, if you practice, you drop anchor, or whether you don't practice it or not. So if you're stuck, just pick one thing and do it. And you can control the heck out of it if you want to.
Right.
Because when we feel that we're out of control, it's really important actually that we do, find a way to feel as though that we do have control over some things and it's not all crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So look for the constants as well in your life. So look for the things which are the same. So, we know that the sun's going to come up every day.
Yeah.
We know that we're going to be breathing.
Yeah.
We know that God is the same yesterday, today, and always.
Yeah.
Those things are constants. We can rely on those things.
Yeah.
So try and find some, stability rocks, things that you can hold on to while everything else is spinning.
So, from a faith point of view, having a bit of a storehouse of a few kind of memorized scriptures or whatnot might be quite helpful to just come back to the fact that, say it's the 23rd Psalm, that the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Well, when I get these overwhelming feelings of lack or loss of control, whatever, then that's something that I can rest in. I go, well, I can't control these things, but I can come back to this meditation to go, you know what, this is something that's really helpful to center me. This is something that's really helpful for me to engage with, to get me back into the game, to come back to those promises that God's given me and just grab onto those. And I can do those. Nothing's stopping me saying that, praying that, whatever.
There's still choice around that you can exercise to do that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So one of the tools I think we've talked about, in fact, you've maybe also used with people in practice, is having a little prayer that you can go to for these times that
Yep.
out of control. Because I mean, sometimes when you're feeling out of control, the last thing that you want to do is improv a prayer. Like you might even feel so overwhelmed. So it's quite nice to have little structured prayers that we can call on.
Yep.
And I know we've talked a little bit about the serenity prayer that's been quite helpful in that
Yeah,
regard.
I find it a really useful prayer around these concepts of what can I and what can't I control.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the serenity prayers obviously had a lot of use in recovery groups like AA, and it's often a really good centering kind of prayer. And I think it's something that we can encourage you guys to take for a spin. Maybe so the prayer is really simple. It just says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change,
Yeah.
the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
So there are some things we can control, there are some things we can't, and God, give me, courage to pursue the things I can do, because we talked about we can do a lot of things. It's surprising the amount of things we can do, even when things are out of control. But also acknowledge that there are some things we just can't control.
That's right.
And when we try and control them, it only leads to more anxiety. So
That's
the best
right.
we can do
Yeah.
is simply surrender those ones to Him,
Yeah.
and know that we're going to have some good outcomes.
Yep.
So what I just want to say, we're going to put together a little resource pack to go with this show. To go with that, we'll have the Serenity Prayer, both the short and long form. There's a long form one that I really like. I know you find it's like, it's
Like
a bit of a
the short one.
drag.
Yeah.
So, but we'll put that in a little downloadable that we'll link to
Yeah.
the show notes.
Yeah.
We thought it would be good to have a little bit of a printable chart of scriptures that might be helpful for people that are going through this anxious time.
And some of the things we've talked about today. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can just print them out. You can stick them on your bathroom mirror, on your fridge, put them in your wallet, and they're just there for you when you're feeling overwhelmed. You come back to those scriptures and just reflect on those, pray them if you want, sit with them if you want. That can just be really, really helpful.
Yeah.
The other thing we thought we might put together is some meditations. Like if people, don't be scared off by that word. I know sometimes Christians feel that's a really Eastern word or whatever, but meditation goes back to Joshua 1. Don't let this book of the law depart from your mouth, but meditate on it day and night. That's like 1200 BC. That's 600 years before Buddhism. So take a deep breath. Meditation has a long biblical history. And just being able to fill our mind with those good things is just such a helpful thing to have at your disposal. So we're going to have a little guided one of those that you can just lie on the floor and listen to and let some scriptures wash over you in this time. And I think you'll find that super helpful. Yeah. So I hope you really enjoyed this little session on lockdown. We're hoping to do a little bit of a season of these little shows around different themes that are around getting unstuck. So if there's particular topics you'd like us to cover, make sure you comment in the show notes or whatever's below here. And otherwise, we'll see you in the next show. Awesome.